Welcome to Airgun Extra, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest's premier airgun centre and ranges. In this week's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at a super compact bullpup, but before that, I'm out targeting rabbits on a warm summer's evening. But I'm out on what should be a pretty straightforward evening targeting rabbits tonight. Now, I'm on a mixed farm, and you may well hear the cows on the other side of the hedge behind me from time to time. And the rabbits here are causing the usual problems. They're eating away at the grass crop. They're also pony paddocks here, so their excavations are causing the dangers there that they normally would, that risk of a broken leg if a hoof finds its way down a burrow. Now, as usual, the primary reason for being here shooting them is for pest control. The farmer wants them got rid of, but there is the added bonus that obviously rabbit meat is very good to eat, so if it goes to plan, I will be going home with some free range meat for the pot tonight. Pretty straightforward setup. I've got myself to an area where I know the rabbits are active. I'm going to keep still, I'm going to try to keep quiet. Hopefully we'll shoot a few. Wow, that one was ridiculously close. One thing I will say also, there was a bit of glare in the shot as I was looking at it. I don't know whether the sun skimming the lens or something was getting in through the back, but it looked a bit washed out, so I'm sorry if it looks like that as you watch it back. I didn't have time to mess about and do anything about it because I was eager to get on and take the shot. As I said, that rabbit was just very, very close. It can't have been more than about 12 or 13 metres away. And if I'm completely honest, I've got no idea where it came from. I've got a feeling it might have just been hunkered down there since we arrived. And once we sat still and quiet, it rose back up over the little brow there and was back in full sight. So however it got there, it's a brilliant start to the session. That one was a bit more of a sensible range. That one was probably about 25 metres. That rabbit was about 2/3 grown. To be honest, bearing in mind that I'm hoping to take a few home for the pot, I like them that size because the younger rabbits haven't overwintered, they're a bit tenderer and they're better to eat. As I said, the shot was about 25 metres and I'm pretty confident about that because I've already used a rangefinder. So I've got the Element Optics Helix 1500 laser rangefinder, and I've already ranged several markers, so fence posts, troughs and trees, to give me a reference point. Now the great thing with this, apart from being a very accurate rangefinder, it's also got a ballistic calculator built in, so when it gives me the distance to target, it also gives me an aiming solution. Now, I've talked about this loads of times before, and I've already mentioned the fact that I've set up those range markers and ranged them prior to the shooting really getting going, and it's a point worth remembering because I'm then judging the distance to target based on those markers, and I might be out by 1 or 2 meters, but the truth is that's not going to make a great difference to shot placement. But the key thing is that I'm not having to reach around, grab the rangefinder and wave it around when the rabbits are above ground and risk spooking them before I get a chance to take the shot. Right, it's turned out to be pretty quiet here, so I think what we'll do is move on and try another spot, and also I'm sure things will get better a bit later on. It's still quite early, it's a really, really hot evening as well, so also I won't be sorry to move about a little bit. So once I've stretched my legs, we'll have a bit of a chat about the kit that I'm using this evening. I'll just run you through that, and then we'll move across to another spot where we have actually seen 1 or 2 rabbits moving, and as I said, hopefully a bit later on we'll catch up with a few over there. Right, well the first thing I'll say is it is very nice to be in the shade for a bit. As I said earlier, it is a really hot evening tonight. So what kit am I using? The gun is the FX Impact M4. Lovely, compact little bullpup and a very accurate air gun. This one's 2.2 caliber, sub 12 foot-pounds. I do quite frequently use FAC when rabbit shooting over fairly open ground like this, but I wasn't sure how close I'd be getting to the livestock this evening, and I didn't want to cause too much disturbance. In fact, on the subject of not causing too much disturbance, I've got the Eagle Vision Cam Helia sound suppressor on this evening. It's a moderator that I've been using a lot lately, and it is very, very effective. They make numerous different sizes. This one's the 45, which I think is a great match with this particular gun. They have caliber specific inserts, so you can tweak it to whatever caliber you are using, and it just does what it needs to do. It really does mute down the muzzle report. And in fact, in a video a few weeks ago, people were saying, oh yeah, that gun still sounds quite loud. Well, we were ratting inside a shed that was quite small, concrete building. The acoustics were terrible. Hopefully this is a fairer demonstration of just how effective this silencer really is. So back to the other kit. The scope is the Element Optics Helix. It's a first focal plane scope. To be honest, I don't tend to shift very much between different magnifications when I'm out shooting, but it is nice to know that if I do, my aim points will all remain exactly the same. Now, it's a relatively mid-priced scope, but it's very good glass, very good image quality. Obviously, the one thing you really don't want is a weak link between your scope and your gun, and as ever, I'm using my trusty Sportsmatch scope mounts. Ammo wise, I'm running the M4 on JTS dead center pellets, the 16 grain version. Nice clean pellets, very consistently made. Seems to make for a very good coupling with this gun. The most important thing is that they're accurate and they hit pretty hard too. So that's the main kit. We're going to go and find somewhere else to get ourselves settled in and hopefully use it to dispatch a few more rabbits. was a slightly longer one than the couple that we had from the first spot. Pretty much bang on zero range with this setup and that classic flip of a headshot rabbit. One by the silage clamp there, and that is where they're causing quite a lot of damage with their undermining. Pretty much bang on zero range again, which is a relatively straightforward shot in calm conditions off the support of a bipod. Now, obviously stable shots are one great advantage of this kind of approach, but stealth is another one. Obviously I'm nice and low, I'm off the skyline, but also I'm barely having to move to line up for shots, so that means there's not much movement or sound to attract attention. Obviously you need to be able to put up with a bit of discomfort, and also it's less of a problem here, but in the first place where we set up there were a lot of stems that I had to be conscious of threading shots around. There are still a few taller stems here, but it's not such a problem. There's another one, and that is going to have to be the last one, simply because we've pretty much run out of light. But I do like doing evening sessions at this time of year. As I've already said, it's been a really hot, very dry day, and rabbits don't tend to become very active until things cool down, and if you're really lucky you get a bit of a dewfall that softens the grass up a bit and they come out to feed. But we've done okay, we've had a few. That said, I reckon it's going to take a few proper night sessions to really drive these rabbits down, but for now we've done the job. We've got a few rabbits. I'm going to get them picked up and then head for home. Please don't forget to follow us on the Airgun Extra Facebook page. We use it to keep you up to speed with all the free articles that Rich and I put out on airgunextra.com and all our latest video releases. Right then, next up, I'm taking a look at an extremely compact little bullpup. Well, we've got a very compact little air gun here today. In fact, it's so small, it only just about fits on my stand. It's the Kral Puncher Empire XS, a quick handling and really stubby little bullpup which lends itself brilliantly to shooting in confined spaces. Distributed in the UK by Range Right, it has a recommended retail price of £525. This diminutive PCP is about 60 centimetres long and weighs just under 3.5 kilos. Now those compact proportions mean that it's an airgun that should be comfortable for most shooters to get on with. I'm over 6 feet tall, it's a good fit for me, but smaller shooters should also get on very well with it. Now there are several stock options, including laminates. This one is the Turkish walnut version. I think it's a nice looking stock and it also has a lot of functionality built into it. As you can see, the forend is pretty short, but it does provide a contact point for your leading hand, and there's a nice panel of stippling on its underside. So the trigger guard is incorporated into the woodwork, and that sweeps back into a chunky and really nicely contoured pistol grip, which is adorned with that same neat stippling. Behind the pistol grip is a large thumb hole cutaway, and behind that you've got a push button height adjustable butt pad. Now that's a really nice feature for quick tool-free adjustment of gun fit. So it's an Airgun Extra stock, and up top you've got your cheek support. Now that isn't reversible, but I've tried shooting it left-handed and it felt absolutely fine to me. One feature that it does have is if you slacken off the fastening screw at the top, there's a little bit of forward and backward adjustment, and that's just another nice touch that enables you to tweak gun fit to suit you. The metalwork looks very tidy, especially for a gun at this price point, and I do like the black anodized finish. So scope attachment is via a Picatinny type rail. That gives you about 170 millimeters of clamping space. The barrel is 400 millimeters long, so 40 centimeters. There is a shroud incorporated into the front section. It doesn't provide any obvious sound suppression, but if you screw off the front cap, there's a 1/2 inch UNF thread for silencer attachment. The Empire XS runs Kral's tried and tested multi-shot magazine. Now that carries 14 shots in 177 caliber, 12 in 22 and 10 in .25. You get 2 of those supplied with the gun and a single shot tray. Now that magazine is pellet friendly and it's easy to load. It's driven by a side lever mechanism with a biathlon type drop down handle. Now Range Right tell me that that handle isn't reversible, but looking at the gun there does appear to be a fixture for it on the opposite side, so if you know different, do let us know. As a right-hander, I found it to be well positioned. It's a reliable mechanism providing quick reloading. The trigger blade is of a match type design and you can adjust it for height and angle. The 2-stage mechanism is also adjustable, but as I always say, I prefer to test triggers straight out of the box. That's probably worth saying that bullpup triggers can be a little bit unresponsive because of their extended linkage, but I was actually very impressed with this one. There's a reasonable amount of first stage travel. That is followed by a really obvious stop, and then you've got a crisp and absolutely predictable second stage break. The safety catch is positioned just in front of the trigger blade. Now, if I'm totally honest, I would probably prefer to have it a little bit further away from the trigger, but at least it is very easy to access. In terms of its operation, you simply pull it back to make the gun safe and then nudge it forwards when you're ready to take the shot. This is a full power air gun, and the 177 caliber test gun is running at around 11.4 foot-pounds. Now it isn't fully regulated in the true sense, so you will notice a subtle power curve as you work your way through the charge. It is pretty consistent though, and shot-to-shot variation on this one is within about 8 feet per second over a 10-shot string. So your air is stored in a 200cc cylinder, at the front of which you will see a clearly marked gauge, and that displays onboard air pressure. Maximum fill pressure is 200 bar, and from that you can expect about 65 shots in 177 and around 75 in 22, which I think is pretty respectable for such a compact airgun. Now there is also an FAC option available, and obviously you can expect that to return less shots per fill. When it is time to refill, you simply turn the collar at the front of the cylinder to expose the inlet and then plug in with the supplied probe. Although this isn't a cheap airgun, it is getting down towards the affordable end of the bullpup scale, and with that in mind I did want to manage my expectations when it came to accuracy testing. I needn't have worried though. Now this airgun is definitely capable of much more than just a bit of plinking. At 40 meters I was able to hit 40mm spinners very consistently. Shooting on paper at 30 meters, grouping was generally ragged single holers. So this airgun definitely has the kind of precision that you need for tackling live quarry over sensible ranges. So that is the Kral Puncher Empire XS. It's a nice looking little airgun which delivers decent performance for not much more than £500. It's compact, it feels to be really solidly constructed, and it can definitely put pellets in the right place. This airgun should certainly be on your list if you're looking for a good value bullpup.
The Great British Shooting Show, held on the 13th to the 15th of February 2026 at the NEC Birmingham. Book tickets online at shootingshow.co.uk.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for this week, but we'll be back with more in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks again to Crackshot. Their shop is in Newton Abbot in Devon along with their ranges, and I will put a link to their website in the show description. As I said, we're back again in a fortnight. In the meantime, enjoy your shooting and stay safe.